Hello, hello. Welcome. Is it Beverly? I can't comment because I'm gonna be drawing. So you would appreciate that. So if you need me to, if you have any questions, I can see all your comments and I can answer you. I can talk. So. Um, You are from Canada. Oh, wow. All the way from Canada. What time is it in there, Beverly? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please type something or say yes or just show a thumb up or something, please. Okay. Can you hear my voice? This is the first time I'm doing this sort of demonstration live via social uh, social platform, social network. So I would like to make sure everything's actually working. Right, I'm not very technical. I'm a good artist, but not very technical. So I'm going to start. I don't know whether you are actually drawing with me or you're just watching me drawing, but whatever you're doing, I am glad you are here. And I am going to start drawing this nose from this dog. I didn't share the whole picture of the dog with you because it would be confusing, but it is actually a gorgeous dog here. So nose. Without the fur around the nose, it looks a bit weird, doesn't it? But we are trying to learn different parts, so I had to isolate them. And also, hello everybody, Jasper, DJL, Teresa, Judy, Karen, and Sapphire. Am I saying it right? Sepia or Sapphire from California. Wow, my sisters live in California, so right, okay. You are closer to them than me. Right, so I was saying that I would like to keep these videos and lives short, not long. That's why I decided to make the doggy part rather than the whole doggy. So this is a Strathmore paper. It's a smooth paper. It's similar to any hot press paper that you can find on the market. And you know, the techniques that I'm going to use here, it doesn't matter what hot press paper you are using or you will use in future. All of them you use the same techniques. So on any smooth paper, the first trick that I am going to show you, I'm going to tell you, is you need to use a sharp pencil. I mean, even this is not sharp enough. I'm going to sharpen it, and I excuse already. You excuse me for the noise. Right, I'm sorry about that. So it needs to be very, very sharp, because the tooth of the paper, if it's blunt, it will not blend real well. So you need to keep sharpening your pencil. The other thing is to go gentle, and when I say gentle, I mean this gentle. If this is your hand, you need to be this gentle, at least for the first first layers. Hi, Simone. Simone is one of my members in Color Pencil School, so I know you. Thank you for joining. Okay. So the first thing is to go with your lightest pencil, which is for in this set is my warm gray 1 that I'm going to use. If you are not using Polychromos, or if you don't have warm gray 1, just use a white pencil. And the reason using that is to go from light to dark, because on a smooth paper or hot press paper, you can't go light on the top of dark. The other textured papers like pastel matte or sandpaper, you can do that. So on those, you don't have to go light first, but for smooth paper like this one, you just go on from your lightest pencil, and you find the lightest areas, which is here for this doggy nose, for this nose. So the strokes that I'm using, I can show you here, sort of blow it up, zoom in on my strokes. So if you were looking at my strokes under a microscope, they would be like that, right? So I'm going like that, but very, very small and very gentle and tight. So the reason I'm doing this, if you look at that nose, the top of the nose, you can see all these little circles. So I am leaving some spaces. So let me use another pencil so you can see. So, I mean, this is not the pencil I'm using now, but my strokes are like that. If I was, if you put my hand under microscope, if I zoom in on, so they are like that. I'm leaving some space in there because, as you can see in that picture, there are sort of they are like little light spaces in the middle of darker lines. So we're gonna create that. So I am leaving some space for my darker pencils, and I am going really gentle, really gentle. And as you can see, I'm starting from the center of this patch. The patch is from here and here till here. And I have not put any line art here, because if you put line art, it would be difficult to take it away, and you want a smooth transition between your colors. So you don't want a rigid line around your highlight here. So you kind of have to do a little bit of freehand here, just looking at the reference and judge it by the edge of the nostrils here. So I'm just going really slowly. I usually do it faster, but you know, I don't want to rush you if anybody is following me. When you are a teacher, you should go with the class. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comments. I sort of regularly look at the comments there. So this was, if somebody's joined recently, this was warm gray 1, or your lightest gray, or white if you don't have a very light gray. Okay, so this is sort of, I think you can see this because this is like a good quality video, hopefully. I don't know, this is my first time. So from here to here is sort of the middle of that white or light patch. Then I'm going to continue doing it, because as you can see, around the light patch extends to about here and there. But in here, the density of the highlight reduces and it becomes darker. So I am continuing doing this, but with less density, so less light marks here. And eventually around here, I sort of let go of it and let it disappear like that. and then I go on this line between the two areas and make a transition. So add a little bit on the joint line here, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the top here. So add in a little bit of more line, more light color here, but with less density, so I get less light colors. And by the way, even if you do it a bit too much, because you can go dark on light on a smooth paper, it's okay. You can cancel it out. You can darken it if you feel like you've put too much light. But the other way around is not that easy. So all around that dense patch of light, I am adding some more light color, circular, like that, the same as here. And then around here, I'm letting it go. The other part that we have a light patch is here at the edge of the nostril there, in here. But in here, I'm gonna take the line art out because I don't want that line to be there, though I've got some dark patch on the top, but I just took that out and immediately put my light color down so I don't lose it, basically. And this triangle is also a light patch, so similar to what we did up there. Circular strokes, small ones next to each other with some space between them, right? Then I'm gonna take these lines away and just add with my light color some solid coverage here. This is sort of, I'm using hatching strokes here rather than circles, because these two are light. And I'm gonna do the same thing here. So I'm gonna take the bottom one out this time. Have to take that out as well. When you put your when the graphite lines go under your color pencil pigments, it's not very easy to take them out. So it's good to take them out before you put your color pencil down, because color pencil pigments are either oil-based or wax-based. Graphite is not like that. So as you can see, I have just extended a little bit, or I've gone out of the area that I think it is light, because, as I said, we can darken it later. Okay, so now that we put that down, you can see the magic now. This is a dark sepia. It is a very, very dark gray. It's very similar to black, just one shade lighter. So if I want to go here, if I want to use this and show you the color, this is the color. So if you want to use another brand, just go with your darkest gray. So this is black next to it. Can you see the difference? Is not that much. So this is dark sepia. With dark sepia, or with your darkest gray, I'm gonna start around the darkest areas, and this is because I would like to establish my darkest dark shade, so I can judge the contrast. Otherwise, your lights seem correct to you, but once you put your darks down, they suddenly become too light. And it's okay, we can always adjust it, but the other way is to put down your darkest darks first. If you zoom in, there is a darker edge here on that picture, which is not necessary to create any difference between this and inside the nostril. But I mean, if you want to go super realistic, you could actually do that. So I'm going to start with dark sepia around here because it is going to get transitioned into the light area. And in this case, our transition is very sudden, you know, goes from very dark suddenly to very light. And the contrast is huge. So I just want to go over this area with my dark sepia, not with the black, because I want to gradually go from black, which is there, onto the this light patch. The strokes are very, very dense, close to each other, and the pressure is really light. I prefer to go a few times, a few layers over the same area rather than putting too much pressure, because you will ruin your paper tooth and it is not easy to get it back. And most of the time, instead of saving time, you actually end up having to go on the same area several times because all the paper specks will jump out and look white. Hello, Leslie. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. On this side also, so in the first layer, basically you establish all your values, and you do try to do a little bit of mixing, but you can do the transition later as well. I mean, if it was a human face, I wouldn't do it in this sort of section. If it was like a face coming from, you know, one side of the cheek to the light side of the cheek, I would go gradually from light to dark and then back again. But in here, we have a very solid black patch here in the nostril. So let's just make that, put it down, and then we got it. We've got it, so we don't have to do it again. And again, this is black, by the way, sorry, it's black. Polychromos black. Polychromos black is not the best black. It's very translucent, as you can see. It's almost like a dark gray. Eventually it will become a solid black, but if you want good blacks, Pablo, ivory black, or Derwent Drawing or Prismacolor black are better. I didn't want to introduce or ask you to bring too many brands in. Otherwise, usually I would use Prismacolor black for something like this, because it would be quicker and with more intensity. So as you have a look here, the top part of this is solid black and it's got a line. But down here, it gets transitioned into the light area. So I'm gonna start from the top. And as I'm coming down, I reduce my pressure. This line goes all the way here. Once somebody asked me, how do you do such details and create realism with that much details. And my answer was that I just draw what I see. That is the trick. You draw what you see. You don't draw what you think, and then you get it realistic. That's what it is. If a shadow is dark, you make it dark. You don't think, oh, it's too dark, I'm not going to make it dark. You have to just do it the way that you see it. And that's the whole thing. If you draw what you see, eventually you get good at it, and eventually it will look like the photo that you are following or trying to create. So if I want to change my drawing from a photograph or from a reference that I am following, I change that first before starting. I don't know about you, but I rather having everything ready before I start, and then I just go and do just follow the photo. That's my way of doing it. So I am now using black, and I'm going really gentle, at least for the first layers. Then at the end we can do a little bit of burnishing, and then we can add the pressure. So in here I had dark sepia, right? So I'm gonna join these together by starting from the black part and coming into the lighter part like that. You might not see the difference, but it does make a difference at the end, because this is gonna go really dark. Okay, and now I'm gonna show you another trick for making this black go more black and more dense, and to get rid of all these little white specks, and that is to use a shade lower in value. So this is again dark sepia. If you don't have it, you can use your dark gray, and I'm going on the top of that black. As you can see, it is smoothing out all those grains for me. A lot better if I carried on with the black. And then when if I go back with my black, which needs sharpening, if I go back with my black, this time it actually gets really dark. See? So go over your dark shades with a 1 or 2 shades lighter, and it will smooth it out, smooth the grains out. Again, on here, I'm gonna use my dark sepia. Like on the dark sepia part, I can use a lighter gray to mix it and to get rid of the grains, soften the grains. This black part will take the longest in this little nose, because we're working on white paper with a dark pencil. So it takes time to smooth out. But we've actually done it. It's done. Right. Okay, so I'm still looking at this picture and identifying the darkest parts. The other part that is dark, very dark, is this middle cliff here. and I'm using black. And because it's such a small area, just go and color it black, like that. Hello, Shirley. Hello, Jasper. You can, Jasper, you can blend them like graphite. Yes, you can. I'll show you after I put the values down. I'll start blending them. If you mean, if by blending you mean pulling out the pigments from one side and blending with the adjacent color, yes, we can. Again, in here, it's sort of black, but I'm going to use my dark sepia again, starting from the edge of the light, going really gentle. I am hardly touching the paper. And here you will see blending, Jasper. So then on this spot, I'm gonna start with black here, because the around here is black. I mean, we could go to town and use other colors, start making all the little details here, but I don't really think we have to. And this nose, we have zoomed in, particularly made it really, really large. Usually when you do a dog portrait, the nose is about this big, and you don't see that much of the details. So Jasper, if you want to blend, the way that I blend is like that. So this is black and this is dark sepia. So I go from dark sepia into the black like that. And then with the black into the dark sepia. So it would keep this edge darker than the other. That's all my intention. So a couple of times, if you go between these two, they will be smoothly blended. Some papers, it's not very easy to pull out the pigments from one place and drag them to blend with the next color. But on most of hot press paper, the ones that, at least the ones that I have tried, you can do that. Right. I don't know what time it is. Oh, it's already 4:30. I intended to just do this for half an hour. I guess my nose is a bit too big. The intention is not to finish these, it's just to show you the main techniques. So, okay, that's black. Going back to my dark sepia around the light edge. And again, give it to black. So the technique I'm going to show you is blending here, which is the most important part. The rest of it is just making it black, really. It's not that important. And I mean, it is important, but probably it's easier for you to do on your own. Okay, now that I have sort of done part of the the main part, which is here. Let's start blending this part and the top part. Okay, so between these, first I'm gonna start with my warm gray 2, which is your like, you know, it's one shade darker than warm gray 1. So it's already sharpened. So I'm going in between these small the circles that we already created here, and in the center, because in the center of this patch it's the lightest. Then I'm gonna use my next color, one notch darker, which is warm gray 5, to go around this. And I'm not doing anything specific. I'm just going between those circles that I've already put down with the light color. And if you remember, this part was done by dark sepia, not with black up to here. In here we use black. And by the way, you can use one color, just changing your pressure. You can create lighter or darker shades with that. So at the moment this is not looking good, so now we're gonna make these to join to each other. I'm gonna use my dark sepia going over this edge. So I'm gonna push the darkness, basically. Let me start again. So from light to dark and then back again. So we came from, it was warm gray 1, then warm gray 2, then warm gray 5, and then I used dark sepia, and now I'm going back, right? So this is dark sepia. So I'm basically gathering that lightness inside this patch gradually. Warm gray 5. And because you've put down a layer of lighter color underneath, this is not going to make it too dark. And then warm gray 2. Okay. And then I'm gonna go back again. So after warm gray 2, we had warm gray 5. So I'm sort of going on in the middle now, because if you look at the reference, even in the middle, you have dark patches around, dark circles around, some not as much as you have here. And then dark sepia. So we gradually are making this light patch smaller and smaller. Right? And now I'm gonna go and make this black really black, because now I feel safe to do so. So this part is really black. I'm making it black. And now the pressure would be about like a medium pressure. If this is my hand, I told you that this was light pressure, so slightly more. Light pressure like that. Medium is like that. Hard is like that. So I'm using medium. I'm gonna reduce my pressure right around this cliff here in the middle of the nose that is very dark. Just reducing my pressure. So I am still using black, but you know, it creates a slightly less dark shade. slightly lighter, not a lot. And then I can increase my pressure, but I'm stopping around here, so I'm not reaching the edge of the light patch, because I would like to carry on making my transition. Gonna go back with my dark sepia, go on the top of the black to make it smooth as we did before, and then now I am sort of blending because I'm pulling out the black. And now I'm looking at the reference and I can see that the lightest area is just there, so we need to make the rest actually quite dark, but we need to be able to see the texture of the nose in these parts, in this part. Still see the texture of the nose. Whilst in here we actually can't see anything. Need to sharpen my pencil. At this point, you need to look at your reference and actually make sure you know where you are. Before we just made a transition, and now that we have made a good bed here, we can comfortably sleep on it and just go black again. I'm pushing this forward. So I'm quite happy with that patch now. It's a nice patch. So let's work a little bit on here for the next 20 minutes. I don't intend to keep you more than an hour. So I'm going to go over this edge with my warm gray 2, because this edge is just a bit light. And then after that, I'm going to go with warm gray 4. And what I did in there, I'm going to start doing here. Did I say warm gray 4? No, warm gray 5, sorry. So I'm leaving a space, just going round and round. It's like putting down little seeds. This is my way of creating this kind of nose, like on a dog or on a wild animal. Most of them are textured like this. So this is my way of doing it. You might find other artists doing it differently, but everybody does things differently. So, but I find it really effective, this. I don't like to have to concentrate a lot. As long as I can just do my drawing relax and easy. I prefer to do it that way. So a lot of these techniques will allow you to just put your strokes down, and they would go and sit where they should automatically without you having to think about it too much. Right, so let's just make it up to around here, about the half of this nose. I am sure you're thinking, oh, this part is too dark. I know it is, but if you look at it, we can still see the texture. So I'm not gonna make it jet black. It is very dark, but we can see the texture. So let's just make some lighter color like that. And then going in between that, starting from this part, the same as what we did here with dark sepia. So this is my shadow, sort of the circle, the dark circles around the lighter circles, which were warm gray 5. And this is what's going to be around this light patch. Then I'm going to go with black because this part is really dark, isn't it? So with black, first I go between these patches, the small little circular patches, and then we can decide to make some part darker because it is a smooth paper and you can go dark wherever you want, but if you put dark color on, then it wouldn't be easy to lighten it. I mean, you could use subtraction tools like Tombow Mono Eraser. You can use that. You can scratch things away with a slice tool. But if we can avoid it, why should we put ourselves in that sort of trouble? If we can go light to dark, it's easier. I'm all for easy. Okay. And as you can see here, again, it becomes dark on the top of the nose. It goes in the shadow. Okay. So to here, to there. Okay, I'm going to sharpen my black now and start darkening the parts that are actually very dark. Make a blend here around this. So from the nostril, I start glazing with my black. One good thing about Polychromos black is that because it is translucent, it might not create a very solid black where we want it to do, like here. But if you glaze with it over other colors, Polychromos black would still show the under layer, and it means that, you know, like here, if we want to keep the texture showing a little bit, we can control it. We can by adding a little bit less or a little bit more of Polychromos black, adding a bit a few layers more where we want it to be darker, and a little bit less when it wants to be lighter. We can make these values as we want them, but at the same time, I can still see all the textures, even if I go really dark. And that is something I like about Polychromos black, because it's translucent. It's basically like a glass, piece of glass, black glass, like a filter rather than a solid color. So I'm just darkening this as I go. And I'm looking at the reference, and you know, it's sort of the darkest part is around here, finishes around here, and it starts becoming lighter. So in this area, I'm gonna still use my black, but with less density. So with the same pencil, we create more than one shade. And as we go higher and higher in this, we get lighter and lighter. So let's stop with black and use dark sepia, the same as what we did there. With dark sepia, I'm going invading the light area a little bit, all around it. It's like gradually we're cheating our way into the light area. Okay, and then using warm gray 5, I actually wanted to keep this palette really small and limited. Otherwise, if I was doing it on my own, I would probably use the whole range of the grays in Polychromos. So see, you know, I got a bit carried away and I went a bit too far. This is kneadable eraser, so you know, I just take a little bit out here. Okay, so it has to be around here. We can always darken it if we have to. And I'm going with warm gray too, but I'm going to sharpen it, sorry. Some of my pencils are small, so I have to use manual sharpener, but with some of them that are big enough, I can use the electrical, which saves a lot of time. So okay, this is for the lightest area, which is here. Then I go back on it with my warm gray 5, going over the area I just did with the warm gray 2, and it will keep it lighter than the next part. Then going on with with dark sepia. So the process is really the same, and you can do this on the other side on your own. And then eventually black. Okay, now I'm gonna start putting some more black over there, because it is actually, it's a line there. So the same as here, as we glazed over, just put the line on the top of the nose like that. So can you see how easy you can darken a lighter area? But if I wanted to lighten an area, I had to take my eraser out, which is not very good. You know, sometimes you can't take it to the color you want it to be. So I just create that line around the nose. It actually comes all the way here with the black, and then I start glazing. Looking at the reference, finding out where I have the darkest parts, and glaze over it with black. And as I come towards the center, I reduce my pressure and I reduce the density of my strokes. So in here, it's sort of grazing almost everywhere, and then you reduce your pressure. You just come down over the other colors to make the darker shades. And then I'm using dark sepia, again coming down. And then with the I'm not gonna make a lot of dark patches here. It's the lightest part. This is the warm gray 5. Just putting some sort of glazing over here. And then warm gray 2. And what I would like to do now is to darken this part. If you see that this is not looking light enough, it's because this is not dark enough. So I'm gonna make this dark with black. And create this shape of darkness. The shape of this light patch here. Just by using the contrast. Sometimes our eyes, I mean not sometimes, a lot of times, our eyes deceives us and we think that an area is too dark. But as soon as you make the adjacent area darker, by contrast, what we thought was dark seems light enough, like what we see now. And then I'm gonna make a transition into this. This part is actually a dark part. I put warm gray 2 there, but I'm gonna go over it with warm gray 5 now, because again, this is another optical illusion that happened before. But on a smooth paper, it's always safer to put a lighter color than putting a dark color, unless you're sure. Black again, and I'm going over the edge here, making this edge. And once that edge is done, I start feathering into this lighter area, sort of pulling this edge into the lighter area from both sides. Adjusting the shape like that. And all I have to do now on this part of the nose is just to go over some of the parts that I need to darken, like here. This is black, so I'm just gonna hold my black and go over the parts that I think need to go darker. One of the biggest mistakes that people do is not to make the darks dark enough. They sort of shy away or are afraid of doing it, go dark enough. Darks are as important as lights in creating a good three-dimensional realistic drawing. So as soon as I go over these parts, I'm not pushing too hard, I'm just doing it gradually so I can control it. By darkening this middle part looks lighter. And now what is left is to create those dark circles here, but carefully. So I'm going to use my warm gray 5 and just go in between those circles. I'm actually looking at the circles and I'm going between them. Okay? Because if you look at it, it is not a light patch, solid patch, is it? It's got texture. And then I'm going to use my darker color, which is dark sepia, and just darkening some of these, not all. The pressure now is about medium pressure because I want to put those lines down. It's not glazing anymore. And as I go towards the darker area, I change to black and create my circles with black. As I said, you could spend so much time on something like this and do a lot of details, but to me, if I had time to finish the whole nose, it is good enough. It's a nice dog nose. Tell me in the comments, do you think it looks like a dog's nose or not? Or would you go with more details? Hello, David. I am happy you're here. Right. What's the time? We've done it for an hour, so I'm gonna stop. But if you have any questions, please type them, and I don't mind staying for another 10 minutes and answering your questions if you have any questions. You're very welcome, David. So you think it's good, looks good, yeah? Yeah, I think I personally think that, you know, something like this is good enough. You don't have to do any more. I mean, if I, while I'm answering your questions, if I just put some black here around this central part, will make it look better. I personally, I don't know about you, but I would like my drawings to look like drawings. I don't like them to be photorealistic. I want people to know when they're looking at my drawings to say, wow, that's so much details you have achieved, and you know, I want to have the wow factor, but I don't want them to say, is that a drawing or is it a photo? I want them to actually be able to tell. So that is why I usually am happy with this much of details. Yeah, you can see all the textures, you know. So in here again, I'm just going with the dark sepia. And then back again with black. But still, I want this part to look more black. So every time I go on here, I go also on the central part. So it you know, make it more black. Right. There are so many grays. I struggle to choose the right ones. How did you know choose the number 3 gray? I didn't choose number 3. It was number 5. So the colors that I used was warm gray 2, warm gray 1. I show you here on the screen. So warm gray 1, warm gray 2, warm gray 5. This is dark sepia, and this is black. So basically going from, you know, through this range. As I said, if I was doing it on my own, I would probably put in between warm gray 3 as well to make a better, easier transition. But on the other hand, even if you take this out, you can still make a transition between these 4. Okay, so the way that I find it out, if you want to know, is that, you know, this area, like here, it is very light. It's almost white. I know it's not white. By practice, I know it's not white. But I know it is actually very light. So that would go for that. And then I know that, you know, it's gradually becoming darker and darker. In here, it's definitely black. And in between, to be honest, you know, you could use warm gray 2 or warm gray 3. It didn't matter that much. Or you could use warm gray 4 or 5. You need, I mean, in my opinion, it would be good for me to have 3 grays and then 2 darks for the dark areas. And the reason that I wanted dark sepia was for 2 reasons. One was for making the transition. The other was to be able to soften my grains on black, because it's not very easy to soften black on its own, to get rid of the grains. But if I was given this, I wanted 3 shades of gray, and it didn't really matter. You could do 4 or 5 here, 2 or 3 here, but I would definitely go with the 1 for the lightest area. Did I answer your question, Simone? Yeah, practice would make a lot of difference. You know, if you start making a transition from black, you know, I use a lot of times I do that to choose my colors. Go, okay, that's black. This is my dark sepia. Then I just put all my grays down. And then, you know, say, okay, this nose needs this shade. It's got like this shade, which is the lightest. Am I making sense? So you don't have to guess. You don't have to think that you have to know it already from the top of your head. I don't do that. Even I don't do that after so many years of practice. I make a swatch and I choose from my swatches. I mean, for something like this, probably I didn't. But if it's that sort of, you know, if it's more complicated, more colors, just make a swatch. Makes it easier when you see the actual colors on your paper. You're very welcome. I'm not very sure how I am pronouncing your name. Is it Sapphire? I think it's Sapphire. Yeah, that is one of the techniques to soften the darks on a light paper, to use 1 or 2 shades lower. There are a few techniques to do that. So if anybody else have questions, please ask me now. If not, I'm going to say bye-bye in about 2 minutes. And I can see you say, David, you say, I'm going to do this later using just graphite pencils. Yeah, that's a good idea. Graphite pencil could do the same job. And with graphite, I would just leave this area rather than putting anything down, because none of the graphite pencils would create that light. Just leave it out. You are very welcome. Okay, if there is no more questions, I am gonna let you go, and thank you very much for coming in. Thank you very much for coming in on Friday, Sapphire. And there is somebody called DJL on YouTube. You are welcome. You have a great day as well, David. And you're welcome, Leslie. You're welcome, Karen. And I forgot to mention, there is a link for registering for the workshops on the over the weekend, please. They are free workshops. So there are recordings I will share with you. So just register. You'd only need to put your email down and then you get all the information. And even if you can't come into the workshops, you'll get all the recordings. But I would recommend to come to workshops, as many of them as you can, because it's always better to watch a tutorial live. Okay, I let you go and subscribe for the workshops, guys. Okay, bye bye.